They're one of the originators of what we love, and that is the hip-hop culture. Now, in hip-hop we've got four elements. We've got the DJ, the rapper, graffiti artists, and breakdancers. Alright? But I believe there's one more element, and that's the fifth element, which is the fan, the supporter of hip-hop. Without the fan, we're nothing. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Alright? So is there anybody else here who loves the art? I see a b-boy right here. Right? Other b-boys? Rappers? Okay. Guys, when I got into this, I fell in love with a movie called Beat Street. Check your history, it's one of the most prolific films you'll ever see. But before Beat Street, there was something else. Now there's a lot of younger people here. Me, I'm an old ass man. I've got to drink water because my throat. But your generation, when I say that, I'm speaking about people who refer to the 90s as the golden era of hip hop. There were groups who brought you into hip hop, the same way Beat Street brought me into hip hop. The unfortunate thing that we found now as we've got older, and as old men we demand recognition, time has shown the more popular people who are out there and the culture love to be the forefathers of the scene. But that is not the case. That is not the case. Taking nothing away from my crew, Downside, they're a great group, but Downside gets recognized as being the founders of Perth hip hop. This magazine, and I hope you're all going to get one tonight, it's $20 out of necessity, was brought out of necessity to let you know that in the 80s is when Perth hip hop started. Guys like DJ Triple D, Mega Mike, B-Boy Maze, High Five, all these guys were doing all of this and set a foundation for Downside to build upon, for this room to be filled. So as that happened, we had Africa Bambaataa, who was the Zulu Nation. Y'all know Africa Bambaataa? Yeah. Zulu Nation? That was the benchmark for hip hop to start. Peace, love, unity, and having fun. But before Bambaataa was a man called DJ Chips, DJ Grandmaster Flowers, Electric God, Fantasia. Block parties were rocking, setting the foundations for what it is we now today love. So we can bitch and moan about not getting recognition, or we can look at the strength that hip-hop is now. It's the #1 mainstream selling media slut out there. You know what I mean? It's in everything. We've overtaken country and western music 8 years ago as the biggest selling music form per unit. That's hip-hop. It's in everybody's culture. So me, I fell in love with rapping. That was my thing. DJ Cut Nice, he fell in love with DJ. I'm watching you tonight because we've got some b-boys in the house. They can be breaking. And the only problem is we can't graffiti on these walls or else you see the fourth element. All right? But as the fans, guys, as the fans, you are the most important thing to keeping this culture not only pure by coming to see the origins of where it all started from, but making sure we go on so we don't hear that shit that we heard in the 80s of, oh, that's rap crap. That'll never last, it's a fad, blah, 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 blah. Well, here we are, 2017. Perfexi, 30 years later, still rocking it. DJ Chips, 122 years later, still rocking it. So folks, tonight, if you have any questions about the origins, there's no more perfect a time than to throw it at DJ Chips. He'll be opening the mic up, having a bit of a questions, answer sort of a thing. Ask anything. I know after this I'm going to be picking his brain. But as for what we do, nice, let's show him why we love this, man. You had to surprise me with something. Check it. I don't need no special effects just to move ya. I flex from the lips of perfects will just prove ya. Take the Panadol and see if that will soothe ya. Or come and see the technician and I'll do ya with the smooth style from the tip of my tongue. You know the chosen one has only just begun to prove that the prodigal son is the one to never leave the job of ripping apart half done. See, I do what I do cause I do what I do. And if it wasn't your hat, man, I bet you would too. Cause this is my lifestyle. It's all I know. I'm ready and willing anywhere to do a show. And if you wanna battle Come on and try it and watch me tear this little place school into a riot. Damn you little fucks, what made you think that I wouldn't attack? So don't even blink, cause I'll be there when you open your eyes. Cause I never compromise on alibis. And just when you think that the rhyme is over, I switch on the mic and do it all over again. Cut nice, cut it up one time, my friend. So y'all, you can tell I love hip hop, but the fact that you're all in this room, I love all of you too. No homo. Alright. So folks, tonight we're gonna have half an hour of questions and answers, and then DJ Chips is gonna play a set for you, 2 hours of the most abstract party rockin' beats that you ever heard, which built everything that we know. And remember, it is done out of necessity. Thank you very much. And the wheels of steel. Now keep your hands moving, and put a special welcome together, and welcome to the stage, DJ Chips, Fantasia.
All right, my man here, Fantasia over here. Before I get started, I'm gonna get some shout outs. I had to bring me a cheat sheet, you know what I mean? So I remember a lot of stuff, so I'm not meandering all over the place. But I'm giving a shout out to Mega and Triple D, my Carlton brothers, and special Cut Nice, who turned me on to Serato. It actually helped me to Serato when I came over here, because I was fooling around with some bullshit virtual DJ thing at home. He said, oh, we got Serato here, Chips, you know, you come on, show you what to do. So I'm so happy to have met this guy. Also, shout out to Corby and Flex at Fremantle Radio. They interviewed me on Saturday, and Tim also, who works there, he interviewed me. Woo! And a big shout out to Nick Shepard. Nick Shepard, who runs Elroy clothing store. I was there at Leaderville Festival, so he asked me, come into the shop, and play some 45s for him, and I just blew the guy away. He was like, wow, I'd never heard those records before. So he was really ecstatic about that, The people of Perth are like fantastic, I really have to say that the hospitality, the sincerity, and the honesty that I've heard from the MCs and the former DJs who came up to me and talked to me, it's been overwhelming, to say the least. So when I go back to the States on Thursday, I say, yo, you gotta come to Perth. You go to Perth, that's where you go first. Before you check out any Australia, come to Perth. And also a big shout out for Rosie for hosting this big event. So you can see, that's a picture of me in my youth, in my 20s, from a club that I was playing at called Promoter Manor. And a photographer who was there, caught me in the middle of a mix. You can see now I'm wearing glasses, but so that's okay. So why am I here? Why travel all the way from the United States to come to Perth? Well, back in 2014, I have a website, djbrooklynlegend.com, and I had the foresight to document everything I did. I have photos that you're going to see later on, and I have flyers that people back in the States, they're fiending to buy them. One flyer I sold to one guy was like for $1,000, and that was like some artwork I did myself. So I get, were you willing to sell this one? So I'm waiting a while, let the price go up a bit, So anyway, I was checking my email one day, and I get this email from this guy named Mega Mike. He said, no, I saw your website, we'd like to interview you, we're trying to do this magazine. So I was like, okay. So he gave me the questions, and it took a while for the magazine to get going, for a while, but it finally came to fruition, and he said, yo, you gotta come to the magazine launch, that we're having. I said, well, I can't make the magazine launch, but I'll come over afterwards. So I came over afterwards, and because he was like, guys are telling me, man, that guy's not coming over here, man. He lives in Brooklyn, wherever he's living right now, he's not coming. I said, yeah, he's coming, man, for sure. So I gave him some good credence, All right, so let's get started. Back in the States, there's a big debate still going on. Still, where did hip hop begin? Was it Brooklyn? Was it the Bronx? Because there's a link between the two of them. I didn't come here to say, oh no, it was in Brooklyn. All I'm here is to present to you my information, and you come up with your own conclusion. But had it not been for what's happening in Brooklyn, hip hop, the influences from Brooklyn fed over into the Bronx. So that being said, so let's go all the way back. In Brooklyn, we had this major parade, Labor Day parade. It's a West Indian Day parade. It runs about 6 miles long along the stretch called Eastern Parkway. So during that festival, all the DJs in Brooklyn will come out with their sound systems. And we're talking sound systems, the kind of sound system where the bass will punch you in the chest. That's how strong and powerful these systems were, especially from the guys who were playing reggae music from the islands. Because if you don't have reggae music, needs bass. So the bass cabinets they had were very powerful, and then the American DJs they caught on to that and added that to their systems. So the first DJ that I came upon, who was a legend, his name is Grandmaster Flowers. He was before Grandmaster Flash. Let's not get confused. He was before him. He took that tag from Flowers later on. So I saw Flowers, right? And he was the first DJ I saw mobile DJ that had his own light show. He had these sequence lights and everything that would go back and forth, and his mixing and everything was like phenomenal. Matter of fact, one mixes that he did back then, I practiced today. Now, during that time when I saw him, DJ thing for me, me and my friend trying to make some money. Give a little party, I would be the DJ, my friends, they didn't really do anything but would party, while I DJ. And at that time, I didn't even have a mixer, but a friend of mine named Ray Wiggins, he said, you plug in one turntable into the phono jack, and then you plug the other one into your auxiliary, and you just turn the knob back and forth when you want to mix. So I tried it out at home, and it worked. It worked. And so later on, we would call ourselves the Grandmasters. That's what we started out with. And then I saw this flyer that said Grandmaster Flowers, and I told my boy Larry B, I said, look, it says Grandmaster Flowers. We can't use that. We can't use that name anymore. We have to give that one up, because everybody's going to think we're biting off of him. So we gave that up. And then after that party, we sort of disbanded. Now my sister, at the time, were dating these famous promoters in New York City at the time. I mean, not all of them, just one guy. So she told this guy, Lindsay Harris, yeah, I got a brother, he's a DJ, blah, 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 blah. So he called, I was talking to him on the phone. He says, yeah, I heard you're a DJ. I said, yeah, that's right, man. Blah, blah. He said, what's the name of your group? And I was like, shit, can't say Grandmasters. So there was a shoebox that I had in my room, and it said Fantasia on it. So I go, yeah, we call ourselves Fantasia. That's right. He said Fantasia. He started laughing. So he said, okay, we're gonna give you guys a shot. This famous jazz club in New York City in the 1940s and 50s called Jimmy's. So we were hired to come there. Now at that time, the major players, DJ-wise, Brooklyn had more DJs per capita than the Bronx. You don't believe me? My man Cool D, who started out with us, he said so in his interview on YouTube. He even said that, Brooklyn was way ahead of the Bronx. So anyway, the major players were Flowers, this guy named Ras Maboya, Plummer, QJ Simpson. These are the guys who had monster systems. So anyway, I told my boys, Larry B and Ras, we got this gig. So we scrambled, to get the equipment together. I had a girlfriend, and I need some speakers. So she took me to the department store. We bought some house speakers. One had a 15-inch woofer in it. One had a 12-inch woofer. So we tried it out at the house, and it sounded great, right? Yeah, we're gonna fucking kick ass, right? And we get there, and this guy Larry D, he was on the stage, and his system was booming. And we got there, and we got nervous. And we tried to set up everything, and we had like Snap, Crackle, Pop, Rice Krispies was coming out of the speakers, and the guy said, oh, Fantasia's trying to get it together, and it didn't happen. So after the third try, we got it together. We rocked the crowd, but we knew that then and there that our sound system was weak. It was very weak, So it was very important back then that you had a good sound system to play your records over. I don't care if you mixing and doing all kind of tricks. If your sound system sucked, the crowd will let you know that your sound system sucked. So we learned from that. So what happened with all that, a little trial and error, we did what we call the Chitlin circuit, where you play at these little clubs and everything, to build up money to get equipment. Now, in the beginning, we were not very knowledgeable about what we needed. They have a nice sound system that had some clarity to it, that whatever records that we played that the crowd would like and get into. So, talking to some guys, renting some equipment for some people who were knowledgeable, we sort of like established ourselves a little bit. And I remember one time, when the equipment was pretty decent, we was up in the Bronx, and it was a block party with Cool D. Cool D, he was like embarrassed that first set that we didn't sound very well. So he went off on his own, which is cool. So he invited us to his block party in the Bronx, and we was killing it. And then as the night began to get darker, started to play again, and somebody behind me kept pulling out the electric plug on us. And I would turn around and take a look, and somebody would get that shit-looking grin, and they plug it back in, and then we play again, and they pull it out again. So I told my boy Larry B, I said, look, let's pack up and get out of here, because it's going to get ugly, so let's just go, let your cousin play the rest of the set. So off we went. So later on, you'll see a nice flyer, 15 DJs set at this place called Manhattan Center in Manhattan. This is where we met our engineer who took our sound system to another level, really to another level. So we met with him, and he built some bass cabinets for us, but he had something unique that no other DJ during that era had, and we had these plexiglass mid-range speakers. They were a piece of, oh my God, the clarity and the sound that came out of those things was so clear, so resilient. So we were the only ones at that time that had that. So we met with him, and you'll see the rest of the equipment. Now back then, during that time, the main DJ that came out of the Bronx, that put Bronx on the map, was a guy named Pete DJ Jones. A lot of guys that came after him, like Starsky and Hollywood and Bambaataa, all of them heard him. But since we had this bad reputation of the disco era, you guys are part of the disco era, man. You're not hip hop. Now, disco era for us, especially the African American community, wasn't that. You get jacked up, coming to some club, doing some Hollywood stuff like that. That was all Hollywood. That whole image was all Hollywood. And what the record companies did during that time, they started watering down the music. So you start getting these records that go do 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 do, and they add a little beat to it. And so, oh yeah, that's disco, man. Meanwhile, in our community, it was funk, R&B, a little jazz, even some rock tunes, reggae. That was the foundation of a lot of music. Especially the funk part. They added a little funk element to the music. So basically, that was that. So that was that argument. Now, Flowers and the other DJs, they were cutting up records before the 12-inch record came along. So you had 245s. You had a part 1 on one side and a part B on the other side. So in order to mix those two records effectively, you know, you had to be a good mixologist, so it all sounds like one record. Now, a lot of those short little 45s had break beats in them, so you had to know where to put the needle in and break those records up. And since they were very fine little 45s, it's very hard for you to, you know, go back and forth with a little thing about the needle sliding off somewhere and you being embarrassed. So a lot of break beats comes from those records and off of albums. So you didn't really have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. If you had a record that had a nice little break beat in it that was really cool, that the crowd would always wait for that part of the record to come up with a, you know, bust a move when that part of the record kicked in. So if you wanted to keep that beat going, you needed two of them. So it made common sense to get another copy and just keep looping that over and over and over again. So that's where that began. So, like I said, so we got that, all of that going, and we had the equipment, and then, you know, we were like really skyrocketing. We were playing all over the place. We came back to the Bronx again, like one at a time. It was a little bit more hospitable, I would say. And Cool D was on the second floor, and I was at the top floor of this place called the Savoy Manor. And we rocked the crowd, and that was good. Now, as far as rapping is concerned, you know, we had an MC whose name was Larry B. See, Larry B was very articulate with his enunciation of his short little raps. And you can see later on, we got the DJ, the rapper talks a little bit more. Back then, Larry B knew exactly when to come on the record and do his rapping, and he knew when to leave. You know, he knew we had a good timing together. So that's where all that comes from. And before him, there was another MC, Setney B, KC, the Prince of Soul. All of these guys were rapping on the microphone. Like I said, all it is now it's an extension of those raps. Instead of having a space in between, they just keep going and going and going and going and going and going. So that happened. So what happened was, I have a recording of my boy Larry B, and you'll hear him. It's from 1978. It's on my website, and you'll hear him go hip hop, you don't stop. You know. And so oh shoot, I have a friend. There's a rap group called Third Base. Anybody familiar with Third Base? All right. So Prime Minister Pete Nice, he found me also on the website, and he came and interviewed me. He said, man, you guys were saying hip hop, you know, back then, you know, hello, you know, anyway. So it's really hard to even say who started saying hip hop. I mean, like exactly, how do you verify that? You know, did you say hip hop first? Yes, I did. You know, I said it one day. I came out after doing laundry. I said, you know, let me hip hop on my way back to home. You know, so that's how these things start. But I told Pete Nice, there's a record from 1960 from this group called the Dovells, and it's called You Can't Sit Down. And the lead singer goes, you gotta hip hop, flip flop, shake it all around. And that's from 1960. So does that terminology come from off that record, or does it come from the 80s when, you know, somebody took it and ran with it? So anyway, that came along. Disco was dying out, and you know the hip hop movement was coming in, and then around the 80s was the last time of Fantasia's big rise. But the thing that I noticed about the beginning of the hip hop guys and the rappers, they were taking all the music that I used to play, cutting it up, and rapping over it. Yeah, that's what they were doing. They said, oh man, you guys are playing disco. Well, that's true. Why are you using those records? if they're disco. That's where those beats come from. They come from that era of the 70s. You know, all those chopping up of the records that you might hear. Oh, that song is new, man. You know, no, it's not. You know, here's the group, and this is where you get the sample from. So, you know, we always say that hip hop is the bastard child of disco. You know, because it begat hip hop. You know, the guys that came through that era, the DJs, because up in the Bronx, up until '78 was like when they really started to get on the DJ scene. Because like I said, at that time, Pete DJ Jones, Cool D were the premier guys from the Bronx. And it's really kind of sad because African Bambaataa used to follow Cool D around when he used to play in the Bronx. And so when Africa Bombay got famous, and all these other guys in the Bronx got famous. He got shoved to the side. You know, he got shoved to the side, just like here in Perth. You know, the guy started here in the 80s. Somebody else comes along, and that part of history gets shoved aside. You know, so I'm here to give you the link. And Brooklyn is the link. You got Brooklyn, you had the Bronx on top, you had Queens. Now Queens is like an extension of Brooklyn. We call it back then, it was like the farm country because it was hard to get to by train, by bus. There was just too much traveling to go out there and party. But Brooklyn, which was closer to Manhattan, were the major party scenes. You know, major clubs. As a matter of fact, you wanted to play in Manhattan because that's where all the happening spots were. Luckily for me, I have a recording of a radio announcement with Fantasia, DJ Hollywood, Love Bus, Starsky, and Cool D. And I can remember that the first time I came home and I was playing on this radio station, WBLS, and you know, listening to music, and then the commercial came on, and I heard the word Fantasia, you know, come through the radio, and I literally lost my mind. Because we're talking before internet and everything, so the radio was still about getting information of where the happening set was. I nearly flipped. And luckily for me, I put it in and I waited. Waited for a few hours for them to rep the music and waited for that commercial to come on, and I caught it and it's fun. So you have to remember, DJ, depending on what you like that DJ, when he was spinning records, that's who you went to see. You either went to see Flowers, Plummer, QJ, Maboya, but they style of music. You know, the DJ was the key. Rapper one, DJ, secondary, rapper out in front now. You know? So that's how it went. So that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to go hear that DJ that did that music. So what I want to do now is go to the slideshow and give you a little explanation of what we had and what it was. So, Rosie? Alright, now this is Action Jackson, he's our engineer. Action Jackson designed all the speakers that you're going to see. He designed them himself, he built some of them, but he would give the design to the carpenter or the company he went to that did the woodwork, and they would build the design, but a lot of his stuff he built by himself. Now, this is a flyer that I sold for, I think this is one I sold for $1,000. This guy, he wanted this flyer really badly. We have these guys back in the States that they're collecting all these flyers. They say, oh, I'm putting a book together. You know, will you sell me that flyer? Now, this is our second attempt at the Grandmasters of trying to give a house party. I did all the artwork, and once I sold it to him, you know, he had that, I should have kept that. You know, but I didn't. So now he has it. You know, hopefully he'll show up in the book someday. All right, this is us setting up for Labor Day. We had a wall of bass speakers. Each bass speaker had an 18-inch woofer inside of it, and I believe we had about 8 of those. 8 of those lined up. And that speaker that you see in the back, we call that the back wing, the torture boxes. They had two 15-inch Gauss speakers, and they had doors on them. You'll see later on to protect the bass sound out. So we're up there, you know, wiring another speaker. That was my crew. You had to have a crew to help lug all that stuff around. So we had a crew. One guy named was Motown, Beaumont over there. The guy kneeling down, his name was Crazy Ass Curtis. Because he's just did some crazy things sometime where who's out there, you know, that's how we give him that name, CAC. So this is Beaumont's block party. We're setting up. That speaker that you see right there, we call that one Jaws. We bought it from Richard Long, who gave a club, Paradise Garage, was a famous gay club. They had the best sound system in New York City, bar none. Better than Studios 54. Nobody had a better sound than the Paradise Garage. So he had that hanging from the ceiling, and we bought it off of him. Put it on top of those 3 folding horn speakers right there. They all carry 18-inch bass woofers in there. You got Beaumont is holding JBL tweeters. JBL tweeters, when you have a cymbal ride or somebody playing on a hi-hat on a drum, those things would it's like rain falling down, because they're like over your head, and and the crowd, you turn off the bass, and you just have those things going, and then you put the bass back in, and the crowd would lose it. Alright, this is a back view of another black party we did with the two bass reflex speakers we had, the ones that are white. Jackson came up with that idea. You know, let's paint our speakers white. Everybody else's speakers are black. Yeah. Alright, here's a flyer. I gave a few of these original flyers to my man over there, Mega Mike. You can see me and Grandmaster Flowers on the same bill. It wasn't a battle. We battled later on, but you know, there's not too many DJs can say that they played with Flowers. You know, to me, Flowers is the godfather of hip hop to me. And that's my own personal opinion. I'll tell you why that later.
Word.
Alright, you can see big crowd, Labor Day, taking care of some of the equipment over there. We had to rope off the area. To get a nice spot, we had to get there early in the morning, like around 5 or 6, because the other DJs would get there and set up the equipment. So we got there, and that's some people who were hanging out, chilling out, because we were there for a long time. So there's me. I think my sister took these pictures, you know, I believe so. So she caught me there in the middle of the mix. As you can see, the bass speakers there in front of me. So that's a good idea of what we were using. That is the master control. You're looking at a lot of stuff. I'll try to explain. I'll take care of the front first. SAE equalizer on the right. Off to the left of it was my boom box. Now the boom box controlled the subwoofer bass cabinets, and the other knob controlled those other speakers I call the JBLs, the tweeters. So I had control of that. And then in front of the console, I had another equalizer that I was able to control all the other speakers. I had total control of all the speakers that we use. You know, you turn down the volume, this one, bring that one in. You know, that's why they call me the tag name Electric God, because I had control of the entire sound system. So that was really my calling card. All right, that's from the block party we saw previously with Beaumont. That's the speaker right there with the 215s. You know, we call it the torture boxes. Next to it, the Leviathan. All right, so this is one of the flyers. As you can see on the flyer, there's no Kool Herc, there's no Grandmaster Flash, there's none of those guys, because none of those guys were doing it at the time. These are all the major players. Then, you know, we had for you break dancers, the terminology back then was a freestyle artist. You know, those guys that did the up rocking, you know, do that moves and start doing that. You know, so that's what that term means. So when you see that, that's the type of dance moves that group was doing along with the hustle dancers. Then you see the MCs down at the bottom, Sentley B, KC the Prince, JC Hollywood. Ash the Hyper Freak was a graffiti writer. He's in a lot of these graffiti books. Matter of fact, he was one of the first DJs that introduced punk. You know, he started doing punk music at his spot. So there was a punk scene in Brooklyn with DJs. He didn't have no punk scene in the Bronx, but you know, he started that on his own. He wanted to do something different, so he went off on his own and did that. This is me early in the morning trying to figure out how to put this stuff back together again. You know, what, why, where. It's early in the morning, we dismantled it, and I was in charge of putting all the wires and everything back together again. So I look a little perplexed, as you can say, at least. So it's early in the morning. You know, it's early in the morning trying to figure this out. So, okay, this wire goes here, this goes input here, output. Here's the crowd. And you can look up in the trees. We had speakers even hanging from the trees. Mid-range speakers there. The JBLs hanging overhead. Because you want the sound, those mid-range and highs to go over, you know, the crowd's head. You don't want it hitting directly. You get a better sound quality when it's going over their head. You know, the crowd is in amazement, and my boy and my girlfriend's little kid knocked out. To this day, I don't know who took this picture. I'm not sure it was my cousin or a friend of mine. After a while, instead of playing, when we played outdoors, we had to rope off the area because, somebody was always asking a question. A nice young lady who would always come by, can you play so-and-so for me? Yeah, okay, all right. Are you going to play so? I played it already. Where did you go? So I decided not to be annoyed because people always wanted to talk to the DJ when he's in the middle of a mix. That's when they want to have a conversation. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play inside the truck. That we had the load equipment and nobody would bother me and it'll be good. Now, these are not Technique turntables. I didn't want to go with what everybody else was using back then. So I went with these Pioneer turntables, were very good. Except only problem, they were belt driven. So sometimes you let it go, it took a while to get going, but they were very smooth. And then I even figured out just a little while, a few weeks ago, what records that I had on the turntable. That one on the left is Cameo, is Serious, and then I had this bad import, nice import called Robot Death, that I mixed in with that. That's my crew. We named him Motown. That's Jimmy G. He was our driver in Fantasia. He's a Fantasia major. That's my boy Larry B in the back. Peter George, he helped, carry stuff. So we were battling against this other DJs that night. I wanted to wear something that would separate us from the other crews. I said, we just wear these white Tams, and it kind of caught on. It separated us from the other DJs who we annihilated that night. There we are, setting up with this a closer shot. See Larry B's got his hands on the top bass reflex speakers. Those cabinets had two 12-inch woofers inside by Altec Lansing. Alright, this is what I call build a house. That's the frontal view from the block party that we did. And there you go, Jaws, or aka the Leviathan. Leviathan, that speaker is also used for rock concerts. They use that speaker a lot. So that was one setup. Party people. The previous speaker, this was the club where the dance, other shot was people dancing. And so we were setting up we didn't use the doors on the torture boxes, but you can see the 250, that's Jackson, engineer, that's Larry B on the side. I don't know who's helping put the radio horn on top of that. Now, as you can see, that's the plexiglass speaker I was telling you, there's two of them. This setup that you're seeing right there, that's just one side of it. The other side was set up on the other side. And we didn't even use those speakers that evening. We had these other speakers that we bought from Richard Wong that you're going to see later on. They were called Berthers. Now Berthers carry two 18-inch bass woofers inside them. And these things are about the size of a refrigerator and wide. So that was just for show. We didn't even use those. Another block party we did, we set up during the daytime. The previous shot you might have seen was at night. So this is a better view of the other setup you're going to see. Like you got speakers you see, piezos, horns. The horns and the mid-range speakers are used for the voice part of the record, so you get nice clarity. Because a lot of DJs had loud systems. They were rough on the ears. Ours was loud. A friend of mine, he said, your sound system sounds so good that if you play Yankee Doodle on it, people would get up and start dancing. So that was a pretty nice compliment. Me scratching my head, okay, what goes where early in the morning. Helping set up some of the equipment. So this is the first gig that we did that went kablooey for us. The two premier DJs, Plummer was a phenomenal DJ. Larry D was on there, he helped us get started. He lent us some equipment and everything. But like I said, that was our debut. We're not on the flyer, thank goodness, because we weren't ready. Look, off to the left is one of the birthday speakers I was telling you about. The other speakers that you saw, that's me up there. There was a group called Staten Island called the Party Dogs. And after we got done with them, we sent them to hospital. So, yeah, they're no match for us. My crazy Curtis, and the thing you knocked down, and I carried my 40 fries at first in a suitcase that had so many cordon off. Now, that's who D I got out with. He's really from the Bronx, from Brooklyn, but he went up to the Bronx on his own. And the rest of them, they got all the notoriety. They shoved him, didn't acknowledge anything about him. And all of them went to see him. You know, they followed him when he was going to watch him mix. And that's who they learned from. They learned from him. Matter of fact, he called me up this morning. He said, oh man, I heard the mix that you have on YouTube. That was so great. He said, you gone global on me. I said, well, good thing, because I talk about you. Thank you so much. All right, so that's the Labor Day parade. It's almost like a Brazil Carnival. It's a big event in Brooklyn, big event, I have to tell you. They do it annually, every year. Nice food, good music, and costumes galore. Oh yeah, so the debut at the Labor Day parade, we had covered up the sound system with this big sheet, waiting for the crowd, the place to get packed, and then pulled off the sheet, and away I went. Alright, so this is one of the signs that I had created. Now you see I have chips font over my name, because what happened was I gave the sign maker a business card and I used my real name. So it wasn't until I kind of looked at it, so, oh my God, the DJ Harold, that really don't sound cool. So, but so before I came here, I just put chips on there. You'll see the way it was, and I think in the next frame. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that was the name that was on my business card, because what happened was the phone call, I lived with my mother, at that time, young age, and she didn't hear nobody calling asking for DJ chips, because she probably would have hung up on them. So I just left Harold on there, and later on, what are you gonna do, right? The sign makers have made it already, so you go with it. Next time I got it right. Alright, there we are, setting up some equipment. My man Larry B, my MC. There he is doing his thing. I listen to him a lot now, and he'd be proud of me to know that we put all this time and effort into something, and to be able to share it with others now. To fill in those gaps that were left by the American journalists. But he was dynamite on the microphone. I kid you not. He was dynamite. It's a nice article. It's in Brooklyn Mighty Mobile Jocks. Just across the bridge. Nice interview with the other DJs explaining how the business was, how they got started. How we should work together to get everything. You see them taking out the equipment, out the car, the setup. Party people. So this is a block party that we did. Previously you saw us setting up with the big Leviathan speaker. That whole block was filled with people. The whole block. My friend who organized it, he said, man, anytime I come back and visit home, people still talk about that block party. Still talk about it. I can imagine that little girl over there, how old she is right now. It's amazing. So this is the very first flyer Fantasia appeared on. And I remember, now you gotta remember, we still didn't have decent equipment. We were far from it. But the fact that our name was on the flyer says that we had recognition. You know, and I remember when me and Larry saw it, we were jumping around like little kids. You know, shoot, look, we're on the flyer. You know, our name is on it. You know, because these are, all the other guys, there was major players. You know, we were just a fledgling unit. You know, didn't have the proper equipment at the time, but everybody else on there did. But the fact that we were in the mix with the rest of them filled us with joy, as they say. You know, this is another one they want to buy from me. You know, they're gonna wait a while before I give up on that one. I haven't decided, you know, what the money value for that one is. But they want it. And they ask me all the time. Party people. Oh, now you know, before I go on, the dress of the people back then in the 70s. I remember I was working at a club one time, and me and my girlfriend, we were taking names at the door, and we see this guy come down the stairs in that Saturday Night Fever outfit. You know, that white suit with the shirt out, you know, and I was like, yo, here comes Mr. Disco. You know, it's like ridiculous. I mean, come on, dude. You know, really? You know, you really into it that much? Please. All right, so these were one of the amps. I love this amp. Phase Linear 700B. They put out 350 watts per channel. That's a lot of watts. But only problem with the amp was it got hot real fast, you know, after a few hours. So I bought this big industrial strength fan to keep it cool, because it would blow out your bass woofers. This is all used for the bottom end. But it was a beautiful amp, you know, meters and everything. There you go. That's the crossover I use to handle a lot of the speakers and the bass on that side, mid-range in the middle, and the highs on that end. So that's set right in the middle of the console. Another shot of the plexiglass speakers. This is a club that we played at called Promoter Manor. So after doing a lot of moving around, because we were mobile DJs, you have to be adaptable to, you know, the places that you play in, and you make sure you use the right equipment and set everything up effectively. So finally, you know, after all that moving around, we found a place to, you know, lay our head. So we played there for about a year. That's us hanging out, my boy Larry B, me and my malleable youth, and Rap 3, who had started out with us, and he quit, and then once we made it big time, then he wanted to get back in, but by that time it was too late. So we said, yo, dude, grab a crate of records. You want to hang out? Grab a crate. Yeah, how about with the speaker, man? Come on, help us out. So that's how he got it. Here's a list of all the people who gave the parties back then, all the famous promoters that you wanted to play for. The ones that have, not all of them highlighted, but Harrison Lindsay was one of the main ones that we played for a lot. You know, and then there's a list of all the DJs. Down at the bottom of the list, you see there's a misspelling. It says Africa, well, one of them says Africa Bad Bats, but but you don't see Herc, you don't see Flash's name on the list, because they were not the prominent guys during that time period. You know, they were just coming along. There's another block party we did, and so we had that set up. So I said, Larry, let's take a walk to the end of the block and see how far this sound reaches. And we got to the end of the block, and it was like incredible. You know, we were producing that type of sound. And it was, like I said, once it wasn't distorted, it was nice and clear. You know. And that's me standing by the stacks. I had a T-shirt that said "Non-Stop Boogie" on it. Here's me helping out, you know, get some of the equipment together during the Labor Day festival. All right, so major event, Fantasia versus Flowers. You know, then we had dancers competing against one another. Now, I had so much respect for Flowers. It wasn't the kind of thing that, you know, okay, here's my chance to, you know, take him out, you know, be proclaimed the king. Now, I had too much respect for him, you know, but I did let him know that I can go toe to toe with him as far as, you know, rocking the crowd and everything. But I did not try to embarrass him. Larry B didn't get on the mic and say, you know, Flowers, you know, you did nothing, da da da. We didn't do that back then. You know, I had much respect for him. But he was the guy that paved the way for me. You know, he was doing it before I even got going. He was already there. Let me give you an example of how popular Flowers was during that time period. You would see like 3 or 4 flyers with his name on it in all these different places on the same day. So what he would do, since he had so much equipment, he would set up in one place, set up another place, and just go back and forth from one spot to the next. That's how popular he was during his time period. Nobody was that popular like that except him. Yeah, that's my logo. I plastered that on there. That'll let you know right off the bat that Fantasia meant business. You know, and, you know, I was telling Mega Mike, there was another spot where it's like 5, 6 DJs. So one DJ was going over his time period. So I said, yo, Larry B. I said, yo, these guys keep playing, man. He said, yeah. I said, I'm turning on the set. You know, I'm just gonna cut in. So I came in with this big record. And the other guy, the other DJ, yo, Fantasia, turn it down. Yo, Fantasia, turn it down. I just turned it up and erased them right out of the picture. And the time was up. You know, it's time for you. Let us come on. Didn't want to do anything, so just took them out. We did. This is an interesting picture because it wasn't until recently that I noticed that there's a guy there rolling a joint right there on the right hand side. You know, I've been looking at this picture for a few years, and all of a sudden, you know, I see that. Wow, he's gonna really enjoy this set, you know. And there's the power station right there. So we have 2 phase linears. Like I said, each one of the channels is 350 watts per channel. The black one is BGW amp. That also put out 300 watts per channel. And the Dynaco 400, that one put out 200 watts per channel. So the major amps right there were for the bass bottoms and the big white speakers that you saw. And you see the big industrial strength fan that we had in the back of those phase linears, because like I said, they would get hot. I think that's it? Yeah. Okay, so that's it. So I'm gonna entertain a few questions, and then I'm gonna play a few records to give you an idea. If you were in Brooklyn back during that time period, this is what you would have heard. You know, let's play. Now, if you want to get a really good example of my set, I'm on YouTube. Mega Mike put up my set from the Carlton. It'll say DJ Chips, the Electric God at the Carlton. So that'll give you a nice idea, you know, how my mixing, my skills work. So there you go. So any questions?